Sometimes a cry for help reaches the wrong person. For Lily Edwards, it reached exactly the right one. Beaten, bleeding, and locked inside her own apartment by the man who swore to protect her, she sent a desperate text to her brother. But her vision was blurred by tears and trauma. She mistyped one digit. That message, "Help me, please, I'm dying," didn't go to Chris. It went to Marco Lorenzo, the most dangerous mafia boss in Chicago, on a phone number that hadn't rung in 3 years. A phone he kept charged and waiting, hoping for a miracle that never came. Until tonight. Lily's world has shrunk to cold bathroom tiles and the taste of blood. Detective Gianluigi Filippo, decorated hero by day, monster behind closed doors, has finally gone too far. He knows exactly which bones to break that won't show in uniform sleeves. Tonight, he broke her wrist. Maybe her spirit too. Phone screen cracked, battery at 2%, swollen fingers trembling. She types what she thinks is Chris's number, 312-555-4782. She hits 4787 instead. "Help me. 447 West Monroe, Apt 9F. He's going to kill me this time. Please, Chris." Send. Across the city, in a soundproofed office where men in expensive suits decide who lives and dies, a phone buzzes. Not Marco Lorenzo's smartphone. The other one. Becky's phone. The room goes silent. Marco's tattooed hand reaches for the device he hasn't heard ring in 3 years, not since his sister was murdered. His dark eyes scan the message. His jaw clenches. When he looks up, his face has transformed from cold calculation to burning purpose. "Cancel everything," he tells his crew, his voice like gravel and gunpowder. "I have somewhere to be." He doesn't know he's about to save the woman who will save him right back. What happens when a desperate victim accidentally summons the devil himself? The answer is bloody, heartbreaking, and beautiful. This is her story. Before we dive deeper into Lily's desperate fight for survival, I need to ask you something. Are you enjoying this story so far? If Lily's courage is giving you chills, smash that like button right now. It helps this channel grow and bring more stories like this to people who need them. And here's something special. Drop a comment telling me what country and city you're watching from and what time it is where you are right now. I love knowing this community spans the entire globe, and I read every single comment. Now, let's get back to Lily and Marco, because things are about to get even more intense. 18 minutes felt like 18 hours. Lily pressed her back against the bathroom vanity, each shallow breath a white-hot knife through her ribs. Her phone lay dark on the tile beside her, battery dead. She'd sent the message. Now there was nothing to do but wait and bleed and pray that Chris checked his phone, that he was in the city, that he could get here before Gianluigi came back. Her wrist throbbed where he twisted it. She couldn't tell if it was broken or just screaming. Everything was screaming. Then silence shattered. The explosion wasn't a knock. It wasn't even a kick. Her front door didn't open. It detonated off its hinges with a sound like a car crash. Lily's scream died in her throat as heavy boots thundered across her hardwood floors. Multiple voices, clipped and professional. Not police cadence. Something else. Something military. Clear left. Kitchen clear. Bedroom clear. The bathroom doorknob rattled. Lily scrambled backward, her broken wrist sending lightning up her arm. This wasn't Chris. Chris didn't have a team. Chris didn't sound like controlled violence. "Locked," a deep voice said from the other side. "She's in here." "Step back, boss." One kick, the door exploded inward, wood splintering around the lock. Lily threw her arms over her face, sobbing. When she lowered them, a man filled the doorway. He was tall, powerfully built, wearing a charcoal suit that cost more than her yearly rent. Facial tattoos traced his cheekbones like war paint. Dark eyes swept over her with tactical precision, taking in the swelling on her jaw, the way she cradled her wrist, the blood on her shirt. Behind him stood two other men, one holding what looked like an assault rifle barely concealed under his jacket. This was not a rescue. This was an invasion. "You're not Becky," the man said quietly. His voice was rough gravel, but something flickered in his expression. Recognition, not of her face, of her fear. I wanted Chris," Lily gasped, tears streaming. "I texted the wrong number. Please don't hurt me." He stared at her for 3 long seconds. Then he turned to the armed man. "Maxie, get Dr. Carlos on the phone. Tell him emergency intake." "Boss, she's civilian. If we take her—" The man's head turned slightly, just enough. The armed man, Maxie, went silent. "Can you walk?" he asked Lily. She shook her head, sobbing harder. "It hurts." Something shifted in his face. Without a word, he bent down and slid one arm under her knees, the other behind her back. He lifted her like she weighed nothing. Lily cried out as the movement jostled her ribs, her head falling against his chest. He smelled of expensive cologne and something darker. Gunpowder, maybe. Danger. "I've got you," he murmured, stepping over the shattered bathroom door. "You're safe now." As he carried her through the living room, Lily saw her neighbor, Mrs. Michelle, standing frozen in the hallway, eyes wide with terror. The man paused. "You didn't see anything tonight. It wasn't a threat. It was simply true." Mrs. Michelle nodded frantically and slammed her door. Outside, 3 black SUVs idled in the middle of West Monroe Street, blocking traffic. Red and blue lights suddenly strobed across them, a police cruiser screeching around the corner. Lily's blood turned to ice. She recognized that car. John Luigi burst out, hand on his service weapon. "Step away from the girl. That's kidnapping in progress." The man carrying her didn't even turn around. He just kept walking toward the middle SUV, his grip on her tightening protectively. "Put her in the car. Keep her warm." He lowered Lily onto plush leather seats. She was still clutching her dead phone, earbuds tangled around her fingers. Everything had happened so fast, she hadn't even dropped them. He looked at her once, his dark eyes unreadable. "Stay still." Then he turned around. John Luigi stopped 10 feet away, his confident stride faltering when he saw the man's face. "Lorenzo," he breathed, color draining. "This is a domestic dispute. That woman is my fiancé. She's unstable, mental health issues. I was taking her to the hospital myself." "Lorenzo," the man took 1 step forward. His hands stayed in his pockets. "You're bleeding from your knuckles, detective. She's bleeding from her face. Interesting math." "She fell." "Maxie," Lorenzo said quietly. Before John Luigi could draw his weapon, 2 men had him on his knees, arms wrenched behind his back. He screamed, all authority replaced by panic. "You can't do this. I'm a cop. They know I'm here." Lorenzo pulled out his phone, not a smartphone, just a regular cell. He made 1 call. "Chief, it's Marco. I have a situation at 447 West Monroe. One of your detectives just assaulted a civilian." "Yes, Filippo. I suggest you send someone clean to pick him up." He ended the call. He crouched down beside John Luigi. "If you were anyone else, you'd be dead right now. But I don't kill cops. I just ruin them." Marco Lorenzo walked back to the SUV and slid in beside Lily. Behind them, John Luigi's screams echoed as marked police cars arrived, real ones this time. The convoy pulled away, leaving the decorated detective handcuffed on the pavement, his perfect life crumbling. Lily stared at the man who just destroyed her world to save her life. "Who are you?" she whispered. "Someone who answered the wrong number at exactly the right time." Consciousness returned in fragments. Soft sheets, the smell of antiseptic and lavender, a rhythmic beeping that wasn't her alarm clock. Lily's eyelashes felt weighted as she blinked against warm light filtering through what looked like silk curtains. This wasn't a hospital. The ceiling was too beautiful, crown molding, a crystal chandelier dimmed low. She tried to sit up and gasped as pain radiated through her left side. "Easy, Miss Edwards." An older man in wire-rimmed glasses appeared beside the bed, dressed in a crisp white coat over a button-down shirt. I'm Dr. Carlos. You're safe, but you need to move slowly. Where? Her voice came out like sandpaper. The Lorenzo estate. You've been asleep for about 14 hours. He checked an IV line snaking into her arm. You have a fractured radius in your right wrist, 3 cracked ribs, a bruised kidney, and severe contusions across your torso and face. The wrist is set and casted. The ribs will heal with rest. You were very lucky, Miss Edwards. Another hour and that kidney could have failed. Lily stared at the cast on her wrist. White fiberglass. Professional. Real. This was real. The door opened. Marco Lorenzo walked in, and the room seemed to shrink around his presence. He'd changed from the expensive suit into dark slacks and a black button-down, sleeves rolled to reveal forearms marked with faded tattoos. He looked less like a mobster now and more like something dangerous trying to be gentle. "Thank you, Carlos," he said quietly. The doctor nodded and left, closing the door with a soft click. Marco didn't approach the bed immediately. He stood by the window, backlit by morning sun. "How are you feeling?" "Confused. Scared. I don't understand what's happening." "That's fair." He pulled a chair closer but didn't sit. "The phone you texted, 312-555-4787, belonged to my sister, Becky. She was murdered 3 years ago by a rival family while the man who claimed to love her ran to save himself." His jaw tightened. "I kept her number active, paid the bill every month, charged it every week. I don't know why. Maybe I thought—" He trailed off, staring at something Lily couldn't see. "Maybe I hoped the universe would give me a second chance." He finally looked at her, his dark eyes intense. "When that phone rang tonight, I thought I was losing my mind. Instead, I found you." Lily's throat closed. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I—" "Don't." The word was sharp, but not cruel. "You have nothing to apologize for. You were dying, and you reached out for help. That took courage." "What happens to me now?" The question came out small, childlike. Marco sat down, his forearms resting on his knees. "Gianluigi Filippo has been suspended from the Chicago PD. Internal Affairs is investigating, but he hasn't been charged yet. He has friends, unions, lawyers. He's already spinning a story. Says you had a psychotic break, attacked him, ran off with a gang member." Lily felt her chest tighten. No, that's not—" "I know." Marco's voice gentled. "But he has a badge and a clean record. You have a criminal's phone number in your call history, and no witnesses except a terrified neighbor who won't talk. The system is built to protect men like him." The truth of it hit like a physical blow. She'd known it, lived it for 2 years, the way Gianluigi's cop friends joked with him at restaurants while she smiled with her broken spirit hidden. The way ER nurses looked at her with pity but never asked the right questions. The way the system swallowed women whole. "So what am I supposed to do?" Tears burned hot down her cheeks. "Just disappear?" Marco leaned forward. "You can't go back to your life, Lily. He's poisoned it. Your apartment, your job, your routines. He knows them all. And now he knows you tried to leave. Men like Filippo don't let go. They escalate." He paused. "But I can give you a new life. Safety, protection, time to heal and decide what you want next." Lily looked around the beautiful room. The silk pajamas someone had dressed her in while she was unconscious, the IV, the medical equipment, the locked elegance of it all. "Am I your prisoner?" she asked quietly. Something flickered across Marco's face. Surprise, maybe. Hurt. "You're my guest. Under my protection. That means no one can touch you here. Not Filippo, not the police, not anyone." "And if I want to leave?" The pause stretched too long. "Where would you go, Lily? Back to an apartment he has keys to? Back to a job where he knows your schedule? Back to a brother he's probably already watching?" Marco's voice wasn't cruel, just ruthlessly honest. "I'm not holding you prisoner. Reality is." Lily closed her eyes. He was right. She knew he was right. She had nowhere to go, no one to protect her, nothing but the charity of a man who'd answered the wrong number because he couldn't let his dead sister go. She'd escaped one cage, only to find herself in another, this one lined with silk and good intentions. "Get some rest, Lily," Marco said, standing. "We'll talk more when you're stronger." He was almost to the door when Lily spoke. "Thank you for coming, for—" her voice broke, "for not leaving me there." Marco turned, his expression unreadable. "I couldn't save Becky, so I'm going to save you, Lily, whether you want me to or not." The door closed. The lock didn't click, but Lily heard it anyway. The sound of beautiful captivity settling around her like a weighted blanket. She was safe. She was trapped. Sometimes, she was learning, those two things looked exactly the same. 5 days in paradise felt like solitary confinement. Lily had free range of the compound's residential wing, a sprawling labyrinth of marble floors, antique furniture, and windows that overlooked manicured gardens patrolled by men with earpieces. Her room had a walk-in closet filled with designer clothes in exactly her size, labels still attached. Dresses, jeans, silk blouses, cashmere sweaters. The unsettling attention to detail made her skin crawl. Someone had measured her while she slept, or researched her, or simply guessed with disturbing accuracy. Meals appeared 3 times daily on fine china, gourmet preparations she couldn't taste through the numbness. A library down the hall housed first editions and leather-bound classics. She tried to read, but the words blurred together, her mind circling the same questions. Where was Chris? Did he think she was dead? Did Gianluigi still have his badge? On the 6th morning, Dr. Carlos removed her IV. "You're healing well. You can move around now, but no strenuous activity. The ribs need another week at least." After he left, Lily stood at her window, watching rain streak the glass. She needed to move, to feel less like a museum piece. She pulled on jeans and a soft gray sweater, someone else's choices, and ventured deeper into the estate. The compound was eerily quiet. She passed closed doors, a formal dining room set for 20 but empty, a sitting room with a grand piano. No one played. The silence felt alive, watching. Then she smelled it. Earth and moisture, and something sweet, floral. A set of glass doors led to an enormous greenhouse. Lily stepped inside, and the world transformed. Humidity wrapped around her like an embrace. Rows of orchids bloomed in impossible colors. Deep purples, vibrant yellows, pure whites with crimson throats. It was beautiful. It was alive. And there, at the far end, was Marco Lorenzo. He wore dark jeans and a t-shirt, his tattooed arms exposed as he carefully misted a particularly delicate white bloom. He looked different here, smaller somehow, almost peaceful. He glanced up when he heard her footsteps. "Didn't expect to see you up." He didn't sound displeased. "Dr. Carlos cleared me. I didn't know you grew things." "Most people don't. Orchids are difficult. They require precise conditions, exact temperatures, specific humidity levels, careful attention. Most people give up on them." He touched one petal with surprising gentleness. "I like things that refuse to die easily." Lily felt something crack open in her chest. "They're beautiful." Becky loved them. The name fell between them like a stone in still water. She had a studio apartment filled with them. After she died, I couldn't let them die too, so I learned. He moved past her, gesturing for her to follow. They walked through the greenhouse into the main hall. Lily had avoided this space, too grand, too exposed. But now, Marco led her directly to the far wall where an enormous portrait hung in a gilded frame. The woman in the painting had Marco's eyes, the same dark intensity, but her features were softer, feminine. She wore a paint-stained smock and was laughing at something beyond the canvas. She looked full of life. Becky, Marco said quietly. She was an artist, talented, trusting, saw the good in everyone. His jaw tightened. She fell for a man who promised her the world, Antonio Ricci. He said he'd protect her from my life, keep her separate from the family business. When the Morettis came for her to get to me, he used her as a shield and ran. Lily's breath caught. Marco. I found her 3 hours later. Too late. He stared at his sister's laughing face. She died alone and terrified because she trusted the wrong person, because I wasn't there. Lily understood something then, the why of her rescue clicking into place. That's why you came. When that phone rang, I thought, tailed off, shaking his head. I thought maybe I was getting a second chance. They stood in silence, two people haunted by different ghosts. Finally, Lily asked the question burning in her chest. My brother, Chris, is he safe? Marco's expression shifted, careful and sad. Gianluigi has surveillance on his brother, a car parked outside his dorm. His phone is tapped. Chris tried to file a missing person report. They threatened to arrest him for obstruction of justice. The room tilted. No, I have to call him. I have to tell him I'm okay. If you contact Chris, Gianluigi will know you're alive. Marco's voice was gentle but firm. He'll use your brother as bait. He'll hurt him to draw you out. Your silence is Chris's armor right now. Ignorance keeps him safe. Lily's knees weakened. Marco caught her elbow, steadied her. I know what it costs to be cut off from everyone you love, he said quietly. I know how isolation feels like drowning. I'm sorry, Lily. I'm so sorry. But keeping you both alive means keeping you apart. Tears spilled hot and fast. All of it, the fear, the gratitude, the guilt, the impossible situation, crashed over her at once. Marco didn't tell her to stop crying. He just stood there, his hand still on her elbow, steady and present. When she finally caught her breath, she looked up at him. Really looked, past the tattoos and the reputation and the violence she knew he was capable of. She saw a man who tended orchids because his sister had loved them, who kept a phone charged for 3 years, who understood the cost of losing people. Thank you for being honest with me. Something softened in Marco's dark eyes. You deserve the truth, even when it hurts. For the first time since she'd woken in his compound, Lily felt something other than fear or confusion. She felt seen. Not as a victim to be saved or a problem to be solved, but as a person capable of carrying hard truths. They walked back through the greenhouse together, past the impossible orchids that refused to die. The ankle monitor cast a faint blue glow in Gianluigi Filippo's darkened apartment. He sat on his leather couch, the expensive one Lily had said was too much, that they should save money, and stared at the blinking light like it was a tumor grafted to his skin. Suspended, not fired, not yet, but stripped of his badge, his weapon, his authority, all because of her. The knock on his door was perfunctory. Captain Nico didn't wait for an invitation before entering, his weathered face carved with disappointment. He stayed standing, arms crossed. Internal Affairs is building a case, Nico said without preamble. They have hospital records from 3 different ERs, neighbor statements, photos of her apartment showing signs of struggle. Gianluigi, you need a lawyer, not whatever the hell you think you're planning. Gianluigi's jaw worked. She's lying. She's mentally unstable, I told you. She's gone, Nico interrupted, and the way she disappeared, with Lorenzo's crew, that's not instability, that's desperation. He leaned forward. Let her go. Take the suspension, cooperate with IA, maybe you keep your pension. Keep pushing this and you lose everything. I need her back, Gianluigi said quietly, too quietly. She's mine. Nico's expression hardened. She's not a possession, Filippo. She's a person who ran from you. Listen to what that means. After Nico left, Gianluigi sat in the silence, his mind rewinding to the beginning, the precinct's annual charity gala 2 years ago. He'd been assigned to coordinate with the design firm handling the materials, and she'd walked into that first meeting like light breaking through clouds. Lily Edwards, 26, soft-spoken, talented. She'd smiled when she showed him the mock-ups, called him Detective Filippo with respect in her voice, asked thoughtful questions about the department's work. She'd laughed at his jokes. She was perfect. He'd mistaken professional courtesy for interest, her kindness for invitation. When he asked her to dinner to discuss the project, she'd hesitated. He saw it now, that fractional pause, but she'd said yes, too polite to refuse, too professional to make a scene. He'd built a life around that politeness, moved her into his apartment 6 months later, isolated her from friends who didn't understand their connection, monitored her phone because relationships require transparency. Each boundary he crossed, each time she didn't fight back hard enough, he'd taken as permission. She was his. He'd earned her, and then she'd tried to leave. Gianluigi stood, pacing to the window. Marco Lorenzo had humiliated him in the street, had him arrested like common trash. The rumors were already spreading through the department. Filippo, the woman-beater. Filippo, the dirty cop. His reputation, his career, his life, all burning because she couldn't understand what they had. He pulled out his personal laptop, not his department-issued one, that was seized, and opened an encrypted browser. It took 3 dark web forums and 2 hours, but he found what he needed, a contact method for the Dante cartel. The Colombians had been trying to expand into Chicago for years, blocked at every turn by Lorenzo's iron grip on the territory. They had resources, manpower, and a grudge. Gianluigi had something they needed, insider access to CPD operations. The encrypted message was simple. Information trade, police routes, schedules, evidence locker access, in exchange for one target, Marco Lorenzo, and retrieval of one civilian unharmed. The response came in 40 minutes. Video call, 1 hour. Be ready. When Valentina Dante's face filled his screen, Gianluigi understood immediately why she ran the cartel. She was beautiful in the way a knife was beautiful, sharp, cold, purposeful. Dark eyes assessed him like a balance sheet. Detective Filippo, she said with her accent precise, you're offering us the Chicago Police Department's operational intelligence. In exchange for what exactly? Marco Lorenzo destroyed my life. He has something that belongs to me. I want him gone and I want her back. Valentina's smile was surgical. Her? This is about a woman? This is about justice, Gianluigi snapped. Lorenzo is a criminal who kidnapped a civilian. I'm a cop trying to save her. You're a suspended cop wearing an ankle monitor, Valentina corrected. But I don't care about your motivations, detective. I care about access. You give us routes, schedules, weaknesses in Lorenzo's security. We give you his head and your woman, unharmed as requested. Completely unharmed, Gianluigi emphasized, not a scratch. How romantic. Valentina's smile didn't reach her eyes. We have a deal. First intelligence drop in 24 hours. Prove your value, and we'll start planning Lorenzo's funeral. The call ended. Gianluigi walked to his bedroom, to the drawer where he kept the photos. Lily at dinner, smiling that careful smile. Lily in the apartment, curled on the couch with a book. Lily sleeping, peaceful, unaware he was documenting their life together. She thought she could leave, thought some Mafia thug could save her from the man who loved her most. I'm going to show you what happens when you betray me, Gianluigi whispered to her sleeping image. I'm going to bring you home, and we're going to fix this. We're going to be perfect again." He touched the photo like a prayer. Outside, the ankle monitor blinked its patient blue rhythm. Inside, something broken twisted tighter, confusing obsession for devotion, possession for love, control for care. The descent had begun. 3 weeks in the compound had transformed Lily's body, but not her mind. The bruises had faded to yellow ghosts, then disappeared entirely. Her ribs no longer screamed with every breath. The cast came off her wrist, leaving only a thin white scar like a bracelet. Dr. Carlos pronounced her remarkably resilient and stopped his daily visits. But Marco had vanished. "Territory disputes," Maxie said when she asked, his face unreadable. "Boss will be back when things are settled." 4 days of silence. 4 days of Lily wandering the compound like a ghost herself, jumping at sounds, wondering if this was it, if Margot had saved her just to abandon her in this beautiful prison. Then, on the 5th evening, he returned. Lily was in the library when she heard his voice in the hallway, low and urgent. She stood, her heart hammering for reasons she didn't want to examine. When he appeared in the doorway, he looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, tension carved into his shoulders. But he was carrying 2 things, an elegant black dress draped over his arm and a leather-bound passport. "We need to talk," he said. "There's a dinner set in the formal dining room. Will you join me?" 20 minutes later, Lily descended the stairs in the black dress. It fit like it had been made for her, probably had been. Marco waited at the bottom, and when he looked up, something flickered in his expression. Want, fear, both. The dining room was set for 2 at one end of the massive mahogany table. Candles flickered, casting warm light that softened the edges of everything. Marco held her chair, poured her wine, every gesture careful and deliberate. They ate in near silence, some kind of pasta she couldn't taste through her anxiety. Finally, Marco set down his fork and slid the leather passport across the table. "Open it." Inside was her photo. When had they taken that? But a different name. Isabella Moreno, born Medellin, Colombia. Gianluigi has made an alliance with the Dante cartel. Valentina Dante is one of the most ruthless operators in the Western Hemisphere. He's trading police intelligence for manpower. They're coming for both of us. Lily's hand trembled on the passport. "When?" "Soon. Days. Maybe a week." Marco leaned back, his face unreadable. "Which is why you need to make a choice. Tonight." He gestured to the passport. "Option 1, there's a private jet fueled at O'Hare, new identity, $2 million in untraceable accounts, a villa in Medellin. You'll be safe, comfortable, completely set up." He paused. "And completely alone. You'll never see Chris again, never come back to Chicago, but you'll be alive." "And option 2? Marco's dark eyes met hers. "You stay. If you stay, you're choosing war. You're choosing me. And I can't promise I can keep you safe. I can promise I'll die trying, but against the Dante cartel." He shook his head. "The odds aren't good, Lily." The candles flickered between them. Lily stared at the passport, at the life of a stranger who wore her face. "What do you want me to choose?" She watched him struggle with the answer. His jaw worked, hands clenching on the table. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw. "I want you to stay so badly it terrifies me, which is exactly why I'm offering you the plane." He leaned forward. "You're not responsible for saving me, Lily. You don't owe me anything. I pulled you out of one nightmare. I won't trap you in another." Lily stood, her chair scraping against marble. She walked to the tall windows overlooking the gardens. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter, their shadows crossing the manicured lawns. She'd spent 3 weeks watching them, feeling protected and imprisoned in equal measure. She thought about Gianluigi, obsessed and hunting, about Chris, worried and alone, about the woman she'd been in that bathroom, broken and begging for rescue, about the woman she was becoming in this compound, learning to walk without flinching at sudden sounds. "I'm tired of being afraid," she said quietly. "I'm tired of letting him take things from me, my home, my work, my brother, my life." She turned to face Marco. "If I run to Colombia, I'm still letting him win. I'm still hiding." Staying could mean dying. Running means disappearing. Lily crossed to Marco, her heart pounding. "Are you sure? Because once we cross this line, I'm sure." Marco crossed the distance between them in 2 strides. His hands came up to cup her face, thumbs brushing her cheekbones with devastating gentleness. He murmured, "Then we fight together." "Together," she whispered. He kissed her. It wasn't gentle, it was passionate and desperate, and tasted like relief and terror and 3 weeks of wanting. Lily's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. His arms wrapped around her waist, lifting her slightly. She gasped against his mouth, and he swallowed the sound, deepening the kiss until she forgot about everything except the heat of him, the strength, the way he held her like she was precious and powerful at once. Then the lights died. Complete darkness swallowed the compound. Emergency systems should have kicked in, red backup lights, generators humming to life. But there was only black silence. Marco pulled back, his body instantly shifting from lover to warrior. "Down," he commanded, pushing Lily behind him. From somewhere in the darkness came a sound like thunder. The front gate exploding inward. The war had begun. The emergency lights never came. Backup generators should have roared to life within seconds, bathing the compound in red emergency glow. Instead, there was only darkness and the distant sound of something massive breaching the perimeter. Marco's hand found Lily's wrist in the black. "Stay close to me. Don't let go." The dining room door exploded inward. Maxie appeared, backlit by muzzle flash from somewhere deeper in the compound. "Boss, perimeter breach, multiple points. They cut the power at the source. This is coordinated." Gunfire erupted from the direction of the main gate, not the controlled bursts of a firefight, but sustained automatic weapons fire, a lot of it. "How many?" Marco's voice was ice cold, tactical. "At least 20 hostiles. They're moving in teams, professional." Maxie tossed Marco a handgun. "We need to move now. Rooftop extraction, 2 minutes." Marco pulled Lily toward the service corridor, Maxie covering their 6. They moved through the compound like ghosts, Marco's grip on her wrists never faltering. Behind them, the sounds of invasion grew louder, shouted orders in Spanish, doors being kicked in, the methodical clearing of a building by people who'd done this before. Then the intercom crackled to life, hacked and distorted. "Lily," Gianluigi's voice filled the darkness like poison. "Baby, I know you're scared. I know these criminals have been feeding you lies, making you think I'm the enemy. But I'm here now. I'm here to save you." Lily's breath caught. Marco felt her falter and squeezed her wrist. "Keep moving." "Come out, sweetheart," Gianluigi continued, his tone sickly gentle. "You're not thinking clearly. You've been brainwashed. Just come out, and I'll forget all of this. We can go home. We can fix everything." They rounded a corner. Lily pulled against Marco's grip, stopping him. In the dim emergency lighting from a shattered window, he could see fury burning in her eyes. "He still thinks I belong to him," she breathed. Marco turned to face her fully. Even now, with bullets tearing through his home, he made space for this moment. Show him he's wrong. Something shifted in Lily's expression. The fear didn't disappear. It transformed into something harder, sharper. She nodded once. They ran. The East Wing corridor erupted in gunfire. Marco shoved Lily into an alcove as bullets chewed through drywall above their heads. Maxie returned fire, dropping one attacker. 2 more appeared from a side room. Marco moved with brutal efficiency, putting himself between Lily and the threat. He fired twice, both targets down, but the third shooter got a round off. Marco jerked violently, a grunt of pain escaping as he staggered back. Dark blood spread across his left shoulder, stark against his white shirt. "Marco!" Lily caught him as he stumbled. "I'm fine," he gritted out, but his gun hand wavered. "Keep moving." "Boss, you're hit." "I said keep moving." Marco's voice cracked like a whip. He steadied himself against the wall, breath coming hard. "Lily, go with Maxie. Get to the roof." "No." The word came out firm, unshakable. Lily ducked under his good arm, taking some of his weight. "You came for me when I was broken and bleeding on a bathroom floor. You think I'm leaving you now?" Marco stared at her, something like awe flickering through the pain. "Lily, we fight together, remember?" Lily looked at Maxie. "Which way to the roof?" Maxie's expression cracked into something almost like respect. "Service stairs, end of the hall. 30 seconds if we move fast." More gunfire from behind them. The Dante cartel was closing in, methodical and merciless. Lily could hear Gianluigi's voice still echoing through the intercom, pleading and threatening in turns, unable to comprehend that she'd chosen this, chosen war, chosen Marco, chosen herself. They hit the service stairs. Marco's blood left a trail on the concrete steps, but he climbed. Lily stayed glued to his side, her hand steadying him when he swayed. Above them, a door opened onto the roof. Rain hit them like a wall. The storm had broken during dinner, and now the rooftop was slick and treacherous. But there, through the sheets of rain, Lily could see it, the helicopter, rotors already spinning, a pilot gesturing frantically. 20 yards. They just needed 20 yards. Behind them, the stairwell door exploded open. The war had followed them to the edge of the sky. The storm hit them like a living thing. Rain slashed sideways across the rooftop, turning the world into a blur of darkness and water. Lightning forked across the sky, illuminating the helicopter in stark flashes, rotor spinning, pilot waving frantically for them to run. 20 yards. They were so close. Then the stairwell door crashed open behind them. Gianluigi stumbled onto the roof, flanked by 2 Dante cartel enforcers in tactical gear. He looked nothing like the polished detective who charmed her 2 years ago. His shirt was soaked, hair plastered to his skull, eyes wild with something beyond rage, beyond reason. "Stop!" His voice cracked over the storm and rotor wash. "Lily, stop running from me!" Marco pushed Lily behind him, despite the blood soaking his shoulder. His gun came up, but his hand shook. He'd lost too much blood. Maxie moved to flank, but one of the enforcers had an angle on him, rifle raised. They were trapped between escape and annihilation. Gianluigi took 3 steps forward, his face twisted with incomprehension. "You chose a criminal over me? Over everything I gave you? I gave you a home, protection, love. You gave me nothing but fear." Lily's voice cut through the storm, stronger than she'd ever heard it. She stepped out from behind Marco, rain streaming down her face. "You gave me bruises and broken bones and 2 years of walking on eggshells. He gave me a choice. That's the difference." "You're confused," Gianluigi shouted, his voice breaking. "They've brainwashed you. You need help, baby. You need me to bring you home." "I'm not yours." The words ripped out of Lily, raw and final. "I never was." Gianluigi's face contorted. Something inside him snapped. He turned to the enforcers, gesturing at Marco. "Kill Lorenzo. Bring her to me, now." The enforcers raised their weapons. Marco tried to step forward, to shield Lily one last time, but his legs buckled. She caught him, holding him upright. Over his shoulder, her eyes darted across the rooftop, designer's instinct cataloging details even in chaos. The emergency panel, 20 feet to her right, mounted on the rooftop access structure. She'd designed venue lighting systems in another life, knew how these things worked. Helipad lights, emergency strobes, all controlled from Marco. She gripped his face, forcing him to focus through the pain. "Do you trust me?" His dark eyes locked on hers, blood on his lips, rain on his face. "With everything. Cover me. 5 seconds." She ran. Gianluigi screamed for the enforcers to shoot, but Maxie laid down suppressing fire, forcing them to take cover. Lily hit the emergency panel, ripped open the cover. The security grid layout glowed in the rain. Helipad lighting system, emergency strobes, all networked. Her fingers flew over the touchscreen. Override protocol, maximum output, all channels. She slammed the activation switch. The rooftop exploded in light. Every helipad bulb, every emergency strobe, every security light erupted at full intensity, thousands of lumens blazing in synchronized pulses. The enforcers, wearing night vision goggles for the darkness, screamed as the amplified lights scorched their retinas. They tore at their faces, blinded and disoriented. John Luigi threw his arms over his eyes, stumbling backward. "Now!" Lily screamed. Marco, running on pure will, took the shot, not at John Luigi, at the lead enforcer's rifle. The weapon spun away across the slick roof. Maxie dropped the second enforcer with 2 precise rounds. The helicopter pilot was screaming at them to move, 10 yards now. Then, the world shook. An explosion erupted from inside the compound, gas line rupture from the firefight below, flames geysering up through ventilation shafts. The rooftop buckled, concrete cracking with sounds like gunshots. Marco grabbed Lily's hand and ran. She could feel the roof disintegrating beneath their feet, chunks of concrete tumbling into the inferno below. Behind them, John Luigi was screaming her name, reaching for her even as the ground gave way beneath him. He fell back, not into the fire, but onto a lower section of roof, trapped between flames and collapse, alive, but finished. Marco threw Lily toward the helicopter. Strong hands, the pilots, caught her, dragged her in. Marco hauled himself in after her, Maxie diving in last as the skids lifted off. The helicopter banked hard, pulling away from the compound. Through the open door, Lily watched her gilded cage burn, watched John Luigi screaming on the collapsing rooftop, still reaching for something he'd never truly had. She turned away from him, turned toward Marco, who was slumped against the bulkhead, his blood pooling on the helicopter floor. His eyes found hers through the pain. "You did it," he breathed. "You saved us." Lily pressed her hands against his wound, applying pressure. Her hands didn't shake, not anymore. "We saved each other," she said. The helicopter climbed into the storm, carrying them toward whatever came next. Behind them, the past burned. Ahead, the future waited, uncertain, dangerous, and entirely their choice. The helicopter touched down in darkness 40 miles outside Chicago, rotors kicking up dust from a gravel driveway. The safe house was a converted farmhouse, isolated and anonymous, exactly the kind of place Marco's organization kept for emergencies. Maxie jumped out first, securing the perimeter with practiced efficiency. Then he turned back to help with Marco, and his face went pale in the cabin lights. "Boss! Jesus, boss, stay with me!" Marco's eyes were half closed, his breathing shallow and rapid. The makeshift pressure bandage Lily had held during the flight was soaked through, dark blood pooling beneath him on the helicopter floor. His skin had taken on a grayish pallor that made Lily's chest tighten with fear. They carried him inside to what looked like a bedroom converted into a medical suite. Sterile white walls, a surgical lamp, equipment that suggested this wasn't the first time someone had needed emergency care here. Maxie laid Marco on the table, his hands shaking as he cut away the blood-soaked shirt. "The bullet nicked something," Maxie said, his voice tight. "It's not stopping. Boss needs a trauma surgeon. I can stabilize for transport, but I can't do this." "I can." Both men's eyes snapped to Lily. She stood in the doorway, still soaked from the rain, the elegant black dress torn and blood-stained, but her voice was steady. "I can do this," she repeated, moving to the sink to scrub her hands. "I need you to find me proper instruments, surgical gloves, sutures, antibiotics, everything in that cabinet. Now, Maxie." "Lily, you're a graphic designer." "I was an EMT before I was a designer." The words came out clipped, professional. "My mother was an ER nurse. I trained for 3 years, worked on a rig in Detroit. I only quit after—" She paused, hands stilling under the water. A traumatic call, a child who didn't make it. the nightmares that followed. She looked at Marco's pale face, his life bleeding out on the table. "I quit because I couldn't save everyone," she said quietly, "but I can save him." Maxie moved. Within minutes, the table was set with instruments that gleamed under the surgical lamp. Lily pulled on gloves, her mind shifting into a mode she hadn't accessed in 5 years. Muscle memory took over. Assess the wound, control the bleeding, find the source. The bullet had entered just below the clavicle and tracked downward, nicking the subclavian artery. Not a complete tear. If it had been, Marco would already be dead, but enough to cause catastrophic blood loss if not repaired. "Maxie, I need you to maintain pressure here while I clamp the artery. Can you do that?" "Yes. Just tell me what you need." For 2 hours, Lily worked. Her hands moved with precision she'd forgotten she possessed, tying off bleeders, irrigating the wound, carefully suturing the damaged artery with stitches so small they were almost invisible. Marco's blood covered her arms to the elbows, soaked into the black dress, but she didn't waver. At one point, Marco's eyes fluttered open, delirious with pain and blood loss. He stared at her face above him, hallowed by the surgical light. "My hands used to shake when he raised his voice," Lily murmured, more to herself than to him. She held up one hand, rock steady, despite everything. "Look at them now, Marco. Steady." His lips moved, trying to form words. "Don't talk, just stay with me. I've got you." His eyes closed again, trusting. When she finally tied off the last suture and stepped back, dawn was breaking through the farmhouse windows. Maxie had started an IV, administered antibiotics, monitored vitals with the dedication of someone who'd done this before. Marco's breathing had steadied, color slowly returning to his face. "You did it," Maxie said, his voice thick with emotion. "You saved him." Lily peeled off the bloody gloves and walked to the window on shaking legs, not from fear now, but from adrenaline crash. The sun was rising over empty fields, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. In the window's reflection, she saw herself. Blood on her face, hair wild, the black dress ruined, but her eyes were clear, focused, alive. She didn't look like the woman who'd cowered in a bathroom 3 weeks ago. She didn't even look like the woman who'd hidden in Marco's compound, afraid to contact her own brother. She looked like someone who'd just performed emergency surgery and won. Behind her, Marco stirred. Lily turned from the window and went to his side, taking his hand. His fingers curled weakly around hers. "Lily," he rasped, "I'm here. You saved my life." She smiled, tears finally coming. "We're even now. You kicked down a door for me. I put you back together." His thumb brushed across her knuckles, the gesture so tender it broke something open in her chest. "No," Marco whispered. "We're not even. We're just beginning." Outside, the sun continued to rise on their first day of survival. Inside, something stronger than rescue or gratitude took root between them. Partnership, built in blood and choice, and the refusal to give up on each other. Lily squeezed his hand and watched him slip into healing sleep, knowing that when he woke, everything would be different. They had both been saved. Now, they would both fight. Marco woke to birdsong and the smell of coffee. For a disorienting moment, he thought he was dead. The pain in his shoulder suggested otherwise, a deep, bone-aching throb that meant he was very much alive. He blinked against morning light filtering through lace curtains, trying to piece together where he was. The farmhouse, the safe house. And there, curled in a chair beside his bed, was Lily. She was asleep, her head tilted at an uncomfortable angle, still wearing his blood-stained shirt, oversized and rolled at the sleeves. Dark circles bruised the skin under her eyes. She'd been keeping vigil. "Lily," he rasped. His throat felt like sandpaper. Her eyes snapped open immediately, alert in the way of someone who'd been sleeping lightly. She was beside him in an instant, her hand cool against his forehead, checking for fever with the practiced efficiency of someone who knew what she was doing. "You're awake," she breathed. "How do you feel?" "Like I got shot." He managed a weak smile. "You saved my life. We're even now." She poured water from a pitcher, helped him drink. "You kicked down a door for me. I put you back together." The door opened and Maxie entered, relief flooding his face when he saw Marco conscious. "Boss, good to see you with us." He pulled up a chair, his expression turning serious. "I've got updates." "Tell me." "The compound took damage, but it's secure. We captured 4 Dante cartel members, 2 dead. Chicago PD and FBI raided what was left, found enough evidence to arrest Gianluigi Filippo for conspiracy, corruption, and assault on federal officers. He's not getting out this time." Marco's jaw tightened. "And Valentina Dante?" Maxie's silence was answer enough. "She escaped," Marco said flatly, "which means this isn't over." "No, boss, it's not." After Maxie left, the room fell into heavy quiet. Marco turned his head to look at Lily, really look at her. She'd saved his life, fought beside him, refused to run when any sane person would have. And now she was sitting in a safe house 40 miles from anywhere, wearing his bloody shirt because of choices he made. "You should take that plane now, Lily, while you still can. Valentina Dante doesn't forgive, and she doesn't forget. I've made you a target. If you leave now, new identity, new life, you can still escape all of this." Lily stood, walking to the window that overlooked empty fields bathed in golden morning light. She was quiet for so long Marco thought she might actually be considering it. Then she touched her right wrist, fingers tracing the thin white scar that circled it like a bracelet, the mark Gianluigi had left when he fractured her radius. "I used to think this scar meant I was broken. Now I know it means I survived." She turned to face him, and Marco's breath caught at the transformation in her. This wasn't the terrified woman from the bathroom, or even the cautious guest from his compound. This was someone who discovered her own strength and claimed it. "I spent years making myself smaller so he wouldn't notice me, apologizing for existing, choosing my words carefully so I wouldn't set him off, believing I deserved the pain because I wasn't perfect enough, not quiet enough, not his enough." She crossed back to the bed, sitting on the edge beside him. "Then you showed me something, Marco. You showed me that being loved doesn't mean being owned, that strength isn't about never being afraid, it's about choosing to fight anyway." Marco's throat tightened with emotion he hadn't let himself feel in 3 years. "So here's my choice," Lily said, her eyes blazing. "I'm not running from my life anymore. I'm taking it back. And if Valentina Dante wants a war, she'll learn what happens when you underestimate a woman who's already survived hell." Marco stared at her, something like awe spreading through his chest. "Who are you, Lily Edwards?" A smile touched her lips, small, fierce, entirely her own. "I'm still figuring that out, but I know I'm not a victim anymore." He reached for her hand with his good arm, threading his fingers through hers. The touch felt different now, not rescuer and rescued, not protector and protected, but something equal and powerful. "Partners?" he asked. "Partners," she confirmed. They sat like that as the sun climbed higher, 2 people who'd saved each other in all the ways that mattered. Outside, the world waited with its dangers and uncertainties and unfinished wars. But inside, something fundamental had shifted. That evening, as the sun began its descent, they stood together on the farmhouse porch. Marco's arm was in a sling, but he was steady on his feet. Lily stood beside him, not behind, not in front, but beside, watching colors bleed across the sky. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we rebuild. The compound, the business, the defenses. We prepare for when Valentina makes her move. And Chris, when it's safe, we bring him in. protected, informed, part of this. No more secrets, no more isolation. If you're in this, you're in it completely, which means the people you love are protected too. Lily leaned against his good shoulder, and he wrapped his arm around her waist. They fit together like pieces that had been waiting to align. "I texted the wrong number," she murmured. "No, you texted exactly the right one. You just didn't know it yet." The sun disappeared below the horizon, taking the old Lily Edwards with it, the one who apologized for bleeding, the one who believed she deserved the pain, the one who thought rescue meant trading one cage for another. In her place stood someone new, someone who'd performed surgery with steady hands, who'd saved the man who saved her, who'd chosen war over exile because she refused to keep running. The wrong number ended. The right partnership had just begun. And whatever came next, Valentina Dante's vengeance, the rebuilding, the fight for the life they'd claimed, they would face it together. Two people who'd been broken and became whole, not by erasing their scars, but by refusing to let those scars define them. The darkness gathered, but they stood in it unafraid. Partners, equals, unbreakable.
If you're on the edge of your seat right now, wondering whether Lily and Marco will survive this attack, you're not alone. Thousands of you have been binge watching these dark romance stories, and I want to make sure you never miss an upload. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're first to know when the next chapter drops. And if this story is giving you all the feels, the fear, the hope, the defiance, share it with someone who loves intense emotional storytelling. Trust me, they'll thank you later. Now let's see what happens on that rooftop, because Lily is about to show everyone exactly who she's become. Thank you for being here, for caring about these characters, and for being part of this incredible community. I'll see you in the next story, and trust me, it's going to be unforgettable. And that's where Lily's transformation is complete. From victim to survivor to warrior. She texted "help me" to the wrong number, and it became the right choice that saved both their lives. If this story moved you, if you felt every moment of Lily's journey from that bathroom floor to standing beside Marco as equals, do me a favor, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people discover these stories. Subscribe if you haven't already, because there are so many more twisted tales of survival, love, and empowerment coming your way. And one more time, I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me what country you're watching from, what city, and what time it is right now. Thank you for being here, for caring about these characters, and for being part of this incredible community. I'll see you in the next story, and trust me, it's going to be unforgettable.